Evening, Bhante.
Hello, Nisanka.
I will,
Everybody hear me out there?
sorry?
Can you hear me out there?
Yes,
Oh,
Yes, we could hear you.
good.
Yes, Bhante, I can hear you.
Hopefully we won't have any problems like we had last week with various interruptions. Okay, we'll go ahead and begin with reciting the Namo Tassa and the three refuges for those who would like to join in that. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang saranang gacchami, Dhammang saranang gacchami, Sanghang saranang gacchami, Dutiyampi Buddhang saranang gacchami, Dutiyampi Dhammang saranang gacchami, Dutiyampi Sanghang saranang gacchami, Tatiyampi Buddhang saranang gacchami, Tatiyampi Dhammang saranang gacchami, Tatiyampi Sanghang saranang gacchami. Welcome, friends, to this Wednesday evening Dhamma discussion and meditation practice. So I hope you all got the newsletter that I sent out on Monday with a photo kind of about the topic of tonight's Dhamma discussion. So that photo, in case you didn't see it, was a photo I took in India of an ox cart laden with a heavy load of hay being pulled by an oxen. And it illustrates the verse that I accompanied with that photo, that all actions are led with the mind. Mind is their master, mind is their maker. If one acts or speaks with an impure mind, then suffering will follow, as the cartwheel follows the foot of the ox. Of course, there's an accompanying verse to that I'll talk maybe about next week. But it's, it pertains to illustrate sort of the law of karma. Now, in the Buddha's day, you can see that the ox carts being pulled by oxen were used in the day, in the days of the Buddha 2,600 years ago. And if any of you have been to India in the last 50 years, you can see that in some places they're still being used. So it's a very apt photo to illustrate that verse, because the Buddha, just by observing scenes from ordinary life, he came up with so many Dhammapada verses to illustrate the Dhamma. So in this case, illustrating the law of karma, how our actions follow us, similar to how the cartwheel is following the foot of the ox that's drawing it. So now, the verse is, the mind is the forerunner of all conditions. That's one translation. The mind is the forerunner of all conditions. And in the translation that I wrote there with the photo, was all actions are led by the mind. So the first translation, all dhammas are preceded by the mind. So it means more than just actions, but all dhammas mean the five aggregates. So our feelings, perceptions, volition, and even the consciousness are led by. What does it mean by led by the mind? Well, it means it's being led by first the contact, the feeling, perception, volition, and consciousness. That's how it's led. First we have a feeling, and it's led leads into perception. The perceptions lead into triggering off memories of the past and future, and then greed and hatred and a whole series of thoughts, and then finally with the intention to make some karmic action. And that's also brings out the ego consciousness. So anyway, the mind means the mental process. So when you talk about the mind within Buddhism, it's really the conditioned mind refers to the process of feeling, perception, volition, and the consciousness. But this is illustrating the law of karma. And the opposite of that is if one acts or speaks with a pure state of mind, then happiness will follow, as your shadow follows you around. So anyway, that's what I wanted to share with you. And so, you could say that, the Buddhist teachings, they are formulated around the Four Noble Truths and the truth of suffering, what is the cause of suffering, ignorance and greed and hatred, and that there can be an end to suffering by overcoming ignorance, greed, and hatred, and then the path leading to the end of suffering, which is, of course, following the Noble Eightfold Path that we've talked about on different occasions. You're all familiar with the Eightfold Path, starting with right understanding. So understanding the law of karma is part of that right understanding. So therefore this, suffering is something that everybody experiences. Now they experience happiness too, but the suffering, most of the problems in people's life are the problems of suffering. And it dominates people's lives from a young age up to the end. And that means mental suffering as well as physical suffering. All the problems that we have in the body, sickness, old age, disease, and death, and then the fear, worry, anxiety, and pain, grief, and despair, which are mental sufferings that are connected with those physical sufferings. So, and again, most of that is, a lot of it is the result of our karma. Now, I wanted to read the story. Each of the Dhammapada verses has a story that goes along with it. And sometimes is illustrative. So the story on this first Dhammapada verse is that there had been a middle-aged, devout person who had become a monk. And while he was a monk, he was leading a very energetic life of meditation. And as a result of that, he became an arahant. That means he attained enlightenment. But in the final stage of his life, unfortunately, he went blind. He became blind. So some people might ask, well, how could an arahant become blind? I thought arahants were perfect. Now, arahants don't create any karma from the day that they became an arahant. They don't create any further karma. But the karma that they had already committed in that life or previous lives still may come to fruition. And that's what this story is about. So this blind person was, walking up and down on his walking path, but, walking outside, as most of the kutis were outside and they had walking paths alongside the kuti in the forest. And there was, many ants and other insects walking, of course, in the forest and on the walking path. But he was blind, and this monk could not see them. So he inadvertently had walked on some ants and insects and killed them. And then some visiting monks came and they saw the blood of the insects on some of the pathways, and saw some dead insects on the pathway. And they told the Buddha that monk had, committed the act of killing them. And then the Buddha told him, no, he didn't break the precept of killing because there was no intention to kill. He didn't know they were there. He was blind, right? So there was no intention to actually purposely step on those insects. So therefore, the Buddha said that he was not karmically kind of guilty of that effect of the killing. And then the monks asked, well, what was the cause of his blindness? I mean, this person became an arahant, right? And then he became blind. And then the monk related this story of the past life. He said in the past life, this monk had been a doctor. And he had given an ointment to a poor woman to restore her eyesight. So this woman had been kind of going blind, and this doctor gave her some ointment that restored her eyesight. And then because of that, this lady promised that with her children, she and her children would become the monk's, the doctor's servants if her eyesight was restored. So when the doctor was giving her this treatment, she said, oh, if you restore my eyesight, I'll be your servant for the rest of the life. And this was the doctor in his layperson's life. But after the woman regained her eyesight, she was no longer willing to become the servant of the doctor or have her children. So she reneged on her kind of promise to repay sort of the kindness of the doctor for the good deeds that he did to restore her eyesight. And the woman was pretending that her eyes were getting worse. So her eyes actually got better, but she pretended that they didn't get better. So she wouldn't have to fulfill that promise to help the doctor to become a servant. So it says this physician yielded to this wicked thought to retaliate against this woman who sort of betrayed her promise. And so he gave her another ointment that actually made her blind. So she pretended to be blind, and so the doctor now made an ointment that made her blind. And so in a consequence of this evil deed, the Arhat became blind. So he still reaped the result of that negative karma that he had done in a previous life, but because of the positive karma that he actually did restore her eyesight, that alone didn't cause him to become an Arhat probably, but it shows that there's a result of both good and bad deeds that follow us around. So this is the story behind that. That negative deed of making this woman blind followed him to this next lifetime, even though he became an Arahant, which is the result of extremely good past karma. Nevertheless, he had to suffer the consequences. So that's just an illustrative story to illustrate these verses, how our deeds follow us around. And I myself, when I first learned Dhamma, I reflected back on the years prior to that, going to India and on my way to India, where I did some unskillful action, broke some precepts. And, it followed me around. I've told some of these stories, especially how I, got busted in Afghanistan, and it followed me around. I was put on the Interpol list for being a drug smuggler for several years. When I crossed borders, they were questioning me about this. So it's, reflecting back on our past actions, whether it's good, negative actions or positive actions too, we can see how these effects of our previous thoughts and deeds and speech follow us around. So, if people don't believe in the law of karma, then this is what, they should be reflecting back on their life, even in this life itself. Okay, now having said that much, friends, I would like to open it up now and see if there are any questions come up. Here's a follow-up. Well, actually, in the chat, there's a follow-up question from last week's talk. How do you think about our karma and complex things like environmental pollution that we all contribute to indirectly? Well, the law of karma, again, it's a very complex law of karma. And sure, we all do things that contribute to the pollution of the world. I mean, and not only the material pollution, but the pollution of the environment just by using our language, bad body language, and our greed, overconsumption, and things like that. We are contributing to environmental pollution and also the mental pollution of society, because our negative thoughts, greed, hatred, and other negative thoughts, ignorance. Look at these people who are harboring all these weird conspiracy theories, polluting the internet. And now, especially with the internet, all this fake news and now AI is able to generate a bunch of fake photos that destroy people's lives. I mean, so, even the mental atmosphere is being polluted by our minds, in addition to the material things that are polluting the environment. But even all the material pollutions start from our mind. So the greed to have things causes us to produce things that contribute to pollution. And then being lazy not to throw something in a trash can, we throw stuff on the ground, or throw our bottles in the ocean or cigarette butts on the ground and pollute the ground. Or we throw our other polluted things on the ground. So that's due to greed or laziness, or, greed, hatred, and delusion, basically. So yes, and so we're reaping the benefit of it. If you get an illness from pollution, don't blame the other person. Well, they're polluting more than me or whatever. So, in a way, we are reaping the results of just contributing to, those things. So, there's indirect causes of the karma, and then there are very immediate and direct causes. And so, like diseases and other problems associated with the environment and pollution, those are sort of indirect causes. Now this next chat comment is, I believe I've created too much unscrupulous karma in this life, that I feel like there's no hope for me to lessen my suffering in the rest of this life. So why bother trying? Well, because we don't know, even though you might be 50, 60, 70 years old, that we never know when the fruition of previous good karma from the past lives, or even in our younger lives, might come to fruition. Maybe you fed a spiritual being alms in a last life, and maybe it didn't come to fruition all this time. But if you keep trying to practice the Dhamma, you never know when a fruition is going to happen. You don't never know when a breakthrough is going to happen. And so if you don't try, then you are not even trying. And therefore, every little extra effort that we do, whether it's the practice of dana, sila, bhavana, practicing the precepts, listening to Dhamma talks, going on retreats, meditating, even though it may not seem like it is helping you directly now, you never know when it's going to bear fruit. And it could bear fruit, in 10 years, 20 years, or even on your deathbed. Especially anything that we do in terms of the meditation practice and our understanding of Dhamma, even though it hasn't come to any high level, we don't know when it is going to be effective, because even in very subtle ways it could be effective. Even the chance of creating the conditions for you to learn the Dhamma at a young age in the next life, or create the conditions where you're born into situations where you're not apt to create a lot of negative karma when you're a young teenager, because there's a lot of people like that, who don't do a lot of bad things when they're young. So we never know when that kind of thing would happen. So therefore, it's never a good idea to say, oh, I'll never be able to gain any progress in the Dhamma, or don't think about enlightenment, because, think about here and now, just weakening a little bit, your bad habits or greed and hatred, and do more good deeds. That will help. Like help somebody in need, an old lady struggling with her groceries in the parking lot or something. Or opening the door for people, smiling at people, telling them good day or hello on the street, even people you don't meet. There's lots of things that we can do that we never know what kind of good effect that is going to have. So,
Thank you. That was my question. Thank you, Bhante. Thank you.
okay. Yeah. You're welcome. Yeah, and you mentioned the story of, or somebody mentions the story of the Anguli Mala. So this person, Anguli Mala, had actually killed 99 persons, and he should have been born in hell. But because of the fruition from previous life, he actually met the Buddha after killing all these people, and actually became an arahant. And he didn't have to suffer. He suffered people, being angry at him and, throwing tomatoes and stones at him and, for killing their relatives. But he was under the sort of the protection of the Buddha, and he attained an enlightenment, which would have been the result of a lot of good karma from a previous life. But for extenuating circumstances, he was kind of coerced into killing these people. There was a whole story behind it. I'm not going to repeat it right now, but you can look up the story of Angulimala. So there also is an example of the good and the bad karma following this person around. The good karma, he became an arahant. The bad karma, because he had done these actions before he became an arahant, he had to suffer the consequences of them. But because he became an arahant, he wasn't going to be reborn. So all of those, that pain and suffering would end in that life, his last life. Okay, there's a Damon. You have another question?
Yeah,
the golden hand.
Yeah, it's a follow-up because I now recall you may have told me a story where someone was on their deathbed and they were very scared that they had a lot of bad karma created, but the Buddha or some arhat told them the best thing you can do now is think back and recount. Actually, you may have done many good things in life that if you think about it now as you're dying, give you a more favorable rebirth if you recount and remember and focus on those good deeds that you did do.
Yes, I don't remember the exact story, but yes, that's why normally people do things that are, that they regret, but they neglect to remember the good things they might have done before that. So they tend to dwell on the negative aspects more than the positive aspects. There's a story also, Ajahn Brahm, I think, a story that he told. He was making a brick wall in the monastery. And, he made a very good wall, except for one out of about, many hundreds of bricks was a little bit crooked, or, wasn't perfect. And so he was focusing on that and said, oh my gosh, I, ruined this wall. He was looking at this one bad brick, but failed to realize that 900 other previous bricks, they were placed very well. So in that way, we have to dwell. That's the recommendation there's a meditation called Sila Nusati, in which you reflect on the sila, the good sila that you had developed, even in this life itself, and to keep that in your mind, when you're, dying, and hopefully that good thought will outweigh the negative one. But
What?
again,
Okay.
there's no
Can
guarantee.
you say? Can you say the name of that so I can look it up?
No, I told you I don't remember the exact story,
No, no.
but
You just said the Sila Nosati.
Sila Nusati is one of the 10 recollections. So if you Google the 10 reflection meditations, the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha are three of them. Then there's a reflection on death. There's a reflection on, I think, metta, and there's a reflection on Sila Nusati, on Sila. That's one of
Okay,
them.
great, great. Thank you.
It's a thinking meditation. Like I said, you go back in your life and you try to remember all the good things that you did, and try to get some happiness from that rather than just mulling on the negative things that you did.
Yeah, and why wait till you're dying? Why not do it right now, right?
Well, that's the whole point of practicing the Dhamma. That's why the emphasis on contemplating the death, that we don't know when death will happen, and it's more hard to practice the Dhamma when you're sick and old. So it's better to start practicing now when we're still relatively young and have the strength, to endure pain and to basically to practice meditation. Okay, let's see. Suzanne, the golden hand. You have a question, Suzanne?
Yes, thank you. Can you hear me, Bhante?
Yes, I can hear you, but try to speak a little louder, please.
When you're young and you don't have an awareness of skillful actions, sometimes as much as you do when you're a little bit older and more evolved, and through ignorance, there's some unskillful things that you may do. When you become more aware of beneficial actions, or when you become more aware of the precepts and on, and you kind of navigate that with more awareness and more skill, does the karma, the negative karma, can that burn off?
Yes, in many cases it can, or the effects would get lessened and lessened. Let's say if somebody went and killed somebody, and if they had no remorse at all, then the relatives of that person might come around to kill him or force the courts to keep him in prison the whole life. But if he repented and he sort of made amends and was very sorrow, and went to the court and was apologized to the people, they might say, give him a break, don't put him in there for life, or let him go. We see that that's happened many times. So yes, the effects of some our actions can be reduced if we make consciously, amends for them. Now, some of them may not, but some of them, can. And also if we stop our habits. So let's of a thief. When they were young, maybe somebody started stealing. Like myself, I confess, I did a little shoplifting when I was young. And I worried and suffered about getting caught. But then later on, I even before I learned the Dhamma, I realized, the effects of that are not good. So I stopped. So I didn't really get punished for those things. Now, had I gone on to continue to steal, then I might have been caught by the police, and that led to bigger things, and the karma would have came back to me. So like that, we can change the karma or reduce the effects of that by our, conscious intention and by practicing the right efforts.
Thank you. Thanks.
Okay, friends? So there's no other questions, and I think we'll go ahead and take a few minutes break and then come back for some stretches and then our meditation practice. Okay? See you back in a few minutes.
Thanks, Ann.
Sure, Damon. Are you still going to Damadorini too?
Oh, yeah. Do you go? You saw me there, or I saw you
Yeah,
there?
I saw you there, and I maybe somewhere else too. I can't remember.
Oh, that's cool. Maybe Biko Bodhi, huh?
Oh, Bhikkhu Bodhi. Yeah, I used to go there a lot.
Yeah.
Uh, but I really like Bhante Rahula.
Oh,
He's
I
so,
wish you lived closer by.
I want to move. I'm really seriously thinking of moving.
Oh, okay. Well, if you're interested in this area, I certainly am willing to be one of your contacts for that purpose.
Oh, thank you.
I relocated here from somewhere else.
Did you really?
Yeah, I moved here about 10 years ago from Utah, so I know what it's like to be out in the Southwest. You're on mute. You're on mute.
Thanks. Yeah. I've lived here for about 17 years, and I went to a Tibetan Mahayana group for about almost 10 years. But I just couldn't do the Tantra. I mean, it was kind of a new group. I learned so much, though, about Sila from them. It was a fantastic founder of the group, even though he's considered a little bit, what's the word? Kind of controversial, because he was a colleague of the Dalai Lama's, but they kind of had a falling out.
Uh-huh.
And then there was some really bad things that happened after that. I didn't stick around to listen to all of it, but he passed away last year, I think. What was his
Oh,
name?
okay.
Geshe Kelsang Gyatso. He's part of the Kadampa group.
Uh-huh.
They have been bad-mouthed so badly. People think so badly of them.
Right.
So, but I don't think it's not true. I really learned a lot.
Yeah.
So,
Here's a long shot for you or anyone else who's listening. I'm signed up to do my first long retreat. It would be a 10-day retreat at a so-called a Goenko. Oh, I'll talk to you about it later, okay, Ann?
okay, yeah, that sounds great. Yeah, okay.
Okay, friends, I hope you can all hear me there. So we're going to begin the yoga now. Just try to stand straight. Relax your shoulders and arms to the side. Gently close your eyes and feel your feet pressing the floor. Try to feel the outline of the standing body. Then begin some deep, slow breathing, taking 2 or 3 seconds to expand the abdomen, rib cage, and upper chest. Drawing the air from the lower lung up to the top. Really feel that expansion in the upper chest. Hold the air in for 2 or 3 seconds and slowly breathe out. Feel the last bit of air go out of the lungs. Take a few more deep, slow breaths like that, developing this mindfulness. Breathing in, letting go of the past and future. Breathing out, standing here and now. Breathing in, letting go of the past and future. Breathing out, standing here and now. Breathing in, feeling the whole body. Breathing out, feeling the whole body. Breathing in, standing. Breathing out, standing. So now we're going to combine this deep, slow breathing with these movements. Doing the movement while breathing in, holding that position for 2 or 3 seconds and returning to the starting point or the opposite direction on the out breath. The whole time, just try to keep your attention focused on the body, feeling the sensations generated by the exercises, just letting your thoughts come and go in the back of the mind. Always keeping the body in the front of the awareness. We'll repeat each one 3 times. So on the next in breath, raise your arms over the head. Interlock the fingers, turn the palms up. Straighten your arms, stretch your head back. Stretch upwards. Feel the sensations and release your fingers. On the out breath, arms back to the sides. And again, in breath, stretch up, bend back a little bit, feel the sensations. Out breath, arms back to the sides. Feel the sensations in your hands and fingers. Once more, in. Stretch up, bend back a little more. Hold it a little longer. Feel the arch in the spine. Release the fingers, out breath. Just close the eyes, relax. Keep feeling the body. Feel the increased body sensations. And your clothing touching the outer skin. Life force sensations under the skin. Subtle pulsations, prickly sensations, tingling sensations, any aches or pain, just letting go of your thoughts. Just always remember standing, standing, standing. present moment of the body. With the next in-breath, lift up on your toes and raise the arms over the head in this way. Face the hands toward each other, about 6 inches apart, and stretch up. The out breath, come back down, arms to the side, heels to the floor. Use the in-breath to help lift up the body. In, stretch. Out. Once more, in. Out. Close the eyes, relax, keep feeling the body, the increased sensation. And give the mind time to wander in thoughts. Keep remembering standing, standing, standing. Next we'll do side bending, using one arm at a time. The next in-breath, raise your left arm up and keep your arm and hand fingers straight close to your head. On the out-breath, bend over the right side. And keep the bicep kind of touching the side of your head. Fingers straight. In-breath, lift up. And 2 more times, the same side, out breath. Let the other hand slide down by the knee. In breath. Out. Got a stretch in the side. In. On the out breath, lower that arm. On the next in breath, raise the other arm. Do the same thing, side bending to the left side. Out breath. In. Out. In. Out. With the out breath, lower that arm. Close the eyes, feeling the body, especially the increased sensations in your hands and fingers. Feel any other sensations also. Clothing touching the skin, feet pressing the floor. Letting go of your thoughts. Remember standing, standing. Okay, next we'll do the squatting or knee bending. On the in breath, lift up on the toes and raise the arms up front for balance. On the out breath, bend the knees, lower the body down. Come down into the squatting position if you can. Balancing on the balls of the feet. Take a deep breath. Feel the muscles in the legs pushing the body up. Up on the toes. And out breath. In. Out. In. The out breath, lower the arms. Feel the increased heartbeat, the pulsations. Keep remembering standing, standing, standing. Present moment of the body. Okay, now, spread the legs apart about your feet. We'll do twisting from right to left, holding the arms out. Breathe in. On the out breath, twist to the right. Keep your eyes focused on the hand, going back. In breath, back to the front. Let your feet turn with the body, and twist to the left side. In breath. Keep alternating sides like that with the breathing. Out breath. Once more to each side. Come back to the front, lower the arms. Close the eyes. With an increased heartbeat. With each foot pressing the floor. Clothing touching the skin, arms and hands hanging at the sides, pulsations in the fingers. Feel the head balanced on top. Next we'll do the alternate toe touching, keeping the hands out to the sides again. On the out breath, bring the left arm across and down, touch your right leg below the knee as far down as you can reach toward the foot. Look up with your other hand over the head. Carefully come up on the in-breath. Arms out to the sides, and the same thing on the other side. Out breath. In breath. Just keep alternating sides like that with the breathing. Try to stretch a little bit further each time. In, out. In. Third time, try to hold it a little longer on each side. Come up. Other side. Come up. Relax. Feel all the sensations, heartbeat, body shaking. The increased body heat. Then we'll do the forward and backward bending, keeping the legs spread apart, hands touching the front of your legs. Breathe in. On the out breath, bend forward. Keep the head looking out straight ahead. Let the hands come to your kneecaps. The arms and legs straight, flatten the spine. Get the hump out of the spine. In breath, lift up. Move the hands under the buttocks for support. Let the head go back. The out breath, gently bend backwards. Keep the eyes open. Not too far. First time. The arch in the spine. In breath, lift up. And the second time, let the hands come below your knees. So keep the head up, feel the extra stretch in the back of the leg. In breath, lift up. Once more, the back bend, just be careful of the breath. In breath. Third time, let the hands come down as far as you can, towards your ankles or feet, and then hold on longer there. Feel that extra stretch in the hamstring muscles, let the little bones in the lower spine stretch out. In breath, lift up. And once more, the back bend, just be careful. And lift up. On the out breath, just relax your shoulders, arms. Close the eyes. Feel the body exactly as it is. Feet spread apart, pressing the floor. Clothing touching the skin. Arms at the side, head balanced on top. Present moment, body centered awareness. We can now bring the legs back together. Do one last simple exercise, the head turning from right to left. Standing straight. On the in-breath, turn your head to the right. Look over your right shoulder. The out-breath, all the way back to the left. Look over the left shoulder. In-breath to the right. If you have a stiff neck, just be careful. Out left. In. Out. On the in-breath, let the head stop in the center. Keep your eyes closed. Feel the outline of the body. This present moment, body-centered awareness. Try to feel or imagine you were standing on a vibrating machine, feeling all those vibrations from the soles of your feet up to the top of the head. Same intimate feeling of the body had as a baby in the womb before coming out. Okay, so now let's come back to our seats, get ready for the sitting. Okay, so just try to get comfortable in your sitting posture. Try to align your spinal column and the back of your head in a straight line. Keep the chin lifted up, level with the floor. Just feel the body grounded on your seat. Just gently close your eyes. Just feel where your buttocks press the seat. And feel the natural inward curve of the lower spine to keep that in its natural position. It helps support the weight of the upper body and to keep the spine straight. Feel the way your knees are bent and the feet tucked underneath, pressing the floor. And feel your hands touching together where they touch your legs. Now feel your head balanced on top of the neck. imagine the head balanced on top of the spinal column, like balancing a soccer ball on top of a broomstick. Gently close your eyes. Sort of feel the eyes resting in the eye socket. Or feel the eyelid stretched over the eyeball. Or feel the subtle eye movement. Or feel some sensations on your face. Skin stretched over the front of the skull. That point on the eyes, try to feel the outline of the body, all those different places make up the outline of the body. Just remember sitting, the present moment of the body. It's as though you're looking into a mirror, just watching the body sitting there. And begin taking some deep, slow breaths. Feel the more dynamic expanding and contracting of the abdomen, rib cage, and upper chest. Hold the air in the lungs for 2 or 3 seconds to allow the oxygen to get out into the bloodstream. And try to feel the last bit of air go out of the lungs on the out breath. Just take several more deep, slow breaths like that, cultivating this body-centered mindfulness. Breathing in, letting go of the past and future. Breathing out, sitting here and now. Breathing in, letting go of the past and future. Breathing out, sitting here and now. Breathing in, feeling the whole body. Breathing out, feeling the whole body. Now we're going to count the breaths from 1 to 10 to develop a more continuous concentration on the breathing. I'll do the counting for you. Just try to follow that with your breathing and your concentration. So on the next expanding in breath, mentally count to 1. Hold the breath in 1 or 2 seconds. And on the out breath, feel the last bit of air go out of the lungs. Count also 1. The next in breath, 2. Hold the breath. Out breath, 2. Do the last bit of air go out. Next in breath, 3. Out breath, 3. In 4, out 4, in 5, out 5, in 6, out 6, in 7, out 7, in 8, out 8, in 9, out 9, in 10, out 10. Now just continue the counting. Let your breathing return to its uncontrolled or shorter, irregular rhythm. And continue to feel it, to observe it, keeping your attention focused in the center of the body, feeling the residual expanding and contracting sensation. Especially try to feel where the clothing rubs against the skin of your stomach, rib cage, or chest. As it expands and contracts. And just knowing when the breath is coming in and knowing when the breath is going out. You know it by feeling it. Try to be like a scientist looking down through a microscope, observing an experiment, observing this life-sustaining process of breathing. Try to tune in to the 4 phases of each breath cycle. The expanding in breath and the brief pause. The contracting out breath and the brief pause. Just over and over and over again. You can make these brief mental reminders to help remember, to stay awake in the body. In sitting. sitting. Just remember that much, the ongoing, continuous present moment of the body. In, sitting, out, sitting, breath by breath, moment by moment, cultivating both mindfulness and concentration. Concentration is keeping the mind focused on the body. Mindfulness is feeling the different sensations. Remembering that you're breathing in, remembering that you're breathing out, remembering that you're sitting. Just in, sitting. Out, sitting. Turn up the power of the mental microscope. Notice more sensation of expanding and contracting. And the pauses between the breaths, try to feel the outline of the sitting body. Just letting your thoughts come and go in the back of the mind. Just keep all the sensations of the breathing body in the front of the awareness. Be alert for thoughts trying to sneak up into the mind. If you get carried away in thoughts, recognize it as lost, or thinking. Keep coming back to the breathing. Take a deep, slow breath, bring the mind back into the body. Or if counting the breaths helps you to concentrate, you can try counting the breaths from 1 to 10 again by yourself. See if you can do the counting by yourself without the mind going to sleep or getting lost. Keep the mind alert. Try to notice how each breath is different. Sometimes it's longer, sometimes shorter. Sometimes you feel the breathing more in the abdomen, sometimes you feel it more in the rib cage or chest. Maybe even feel it moving through the nostrils. The breath is always changing, it's impermanent. Sometimes the pauses between the breaths are shorter or longer. Noticing all those changes helps to keep the mind concentrated. Be alert for any of the 5 hindrances, drowsiness, attachments, aversion, restlessness. From time to time, take 2 or 3 deep, slow breaths. Help keep the awareness energized, awake in the body. In, sitting, out, sitting, breath by breath, moment by moment. With each out breath, relax the body and mind more and more into the present moment, feeling more subtle vibrations deep in the body. The body and mind has become relaxed and centered enough. It's gradually opening up to the flow of impermanence. Feel more sensations, sounds or thoughts arising and vanishing through that centered awareness, body-centered awareness. If you catch the mind lost in thoughts, recognize it as lost. Take a deep, slow breath. Bring the mind back into the body. Coming back to in, sitting. Out, sitting. Breath by breath, moment by moment. Just keep turning up the power of the mental microscope to notice more and subtler sensations, details of the body-mind process. flow of impermanence. If you know the five aggregates, start to identify the aggregates. This is form, this is feeling, this is perception, these are thoughts or volition, this is ego consciousness. Identifying like that will help you keep from getting lost into them. From time to time, take a few deep, slow breaths. Keep energizing the nervous system, the awareness. Help stay centered, awake in the breathing body, feeling more and more subtle sensations, being aware of the subtle thoughts moving through the back of the mind, tuning in to that constant flow of impermanence, body sensations, sounds, thoughts, coming and going, arising and vanishing. Keeping the breathing and body as an anchor for the consciousness, to the present moment. We lose that connection to the breathing body, and the mind gets easily goes to sleep or gets carried away in the flood of sensory vibration, or lost in its dark thought. You have good awareness of that flow of impermanence. Just try to become like an empty house with nobody home. Moments of bodily sensations, sounds, thoughts, coming and going through that expanded space of body-centered awareness. present moment awareness. Sambe sankhara anicchati yada panyaya pasati pata nibindati dukhi esamargo visuddhiya dukkha pata jani dukkha bhayapata jani bhaya Sokapata jani soka hontu sabbe pipanino. All conditioned things, the five aggregates of this body, mind, and world are impermanent. When one sees this with the eye of wisdom, one becomes disenchanted with suffering. This is the path to purity, to freedom. And may the suffering be free from suffering. May the fear-struck be free from fear. May the grieving be free from grief. So too may all beings live with mindfulness and wisdom. Thus spoke the Buddha. You now mindfully place your hands at the edge of your knees. Take a deep, slow breath. As you breathe in, stretch your head back, pull the hands on your knees to arch the spine backwards. And lift the head up on an in-breath. On the out-breath, press your chin to the top of the chest to stretch the neck vertebra. And lift the chin up level on an in-breath. And relax on the out-breath. Put a smile on your face. Okay, friends. So this brings our evening Dhamma discussion and meditation to an end, but just a reflection on, tomorrow, at least for those who are here in the USA, is the Independence Day, 4th of July. But, there's different types of independence. And the true independence is becoming independent from ignorance, becoming independent from self-created suffering. So that's what the Buddha taught us in the practice of Dhamma, the practice of meditation, is to become truly independent. That means being able to think what you want, how you want, for however you want, without being interfered with by hindrances, by negative thoughts, things that you don't want to think about. But on a deeper level, it becomes independence even from our own ego consciousness. And the ego with its all of its desires or attachments and wanting us to do this and wanting us to do that, to become truly independent. So that's a reflection that you can do tomorrow if you like. And so for those of you who happen to be living close by the Lion of Wisdom Center, tomorrow night we're having a 4th of July sort of bonfire. And we have a kind of informal gathering of Dhamma friends, and some people roast some marshmallows, make some s'mores, and we watch the neighborhood fireworks. Okay, well, whatever you do, on the 4th of July, be mindful, be wise, be be safe. There'll be a lot of people out partying and things like that. So, okay, and so we'll hopefully see you again next week. In the meantime, mindfulness a day keeps dukkha away, and Namo Buddhaya.
Thank you, Venerable.
You're welcome.
Yeah, yeah. I'm Buddhist monk.
Yes. What's your name? Ganeshan?
Yeah, yeah.
Ganeshan, where are you?
Bangladesh.
Bangladesh. Oh,
Yes.
it must be early in the morning in Bangladesh now.
Yeah, yeah. 7 p.m. AM.
Well, all the best to you.
Respect you.
Okay, friends, see you again.